Compass Promotions live stream. Thank you to everybody who joined yesterday's live stream. And by the way, let me just take a moment to say congratulations or happy birthday to my favorite movie, at least on sunny days. It's my favorite movie. On rainy days, it's its sequel. But happy birthday to A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, which was released 37 years ago today, August 19th, 1988. Which has nothing to do with Freemasonry. It's just that I love that movie and I thought that was cool. Also, I mentioned before, so let's see if I can mention it again. I love Indian food, and there's an Indian restaurant that just opened up. I don't know if it just opened up actually, but I just discovered it. Indian Swad on Tecumseh Road East in Windsor. So if you live in Windsor, or you can get here and you also really enjoy Indian food, Indian Swad, which is located on Tecumseh Road East, basically at Tecumseh Hall or thereabouts in Windsor, Ontario. Check that out. And now let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who joins. I really enjoyed yesterday's stream about Steve Jobs. Today, I want to spend a few minutes and talk about, if I could find it, a quote that I discovered from Dostoevsky that I really enjoyed. Hamburger Helper's great. It's a classic. Hamburger Helper's one of the best. By the way, congratulations to the White Sox on their victory yesterday. Well done. Here it is. We're going to talk about this quote. Let's see if I can put it in the stream. There we go. Getting something in the mail. Awesome. I hope it's cool as well. Maybe it's the thing I finally sent to you, making it your way. Would be nice. Because I know it's taking a long time to get there. But first, for now, we're just going to wait. We're going to see who joins. Remind everybody that I have my 24-hour live stream coming up on August 21st at 2 p.m. Also tomorrow, August 20th at 3 p.m., I've got my Square and Compass Instagram live stream. I'll be doing Insta Live, which should be a lot of fun as well. So let's just wait and see who joins. And like always, what do you want to talk about? Let's give it a few minutes. And don't forget, when you're joining us, hit the like and subscribe button. We'll get started on this topic very soon. Hello, Funny Republican. How is your day going? How are you doing? What's happening? I hope that everything is going well for you. Thank you very much. I love my stuff as well, Courtney. And I can't wait to show it all off on Thursday. So Funny Republican, don't forget, Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so an hour later than usual, I will have my second 24-hour live stream, which is going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait to be on there. Well, you'll be fine with, just start with YouTube and go from there. YouTube, that's the mainstream, and that's the one I'll be doing tomorrow. So I'm also working on another Medium story, which I plan to release very shortly. Medium is where I write about Freemasonry and different ideas that people can have when it comes to making the lodge successful. Yes, I did it before, and it was a lot of fun. And so I'm doing it again. I'm going to be showing off all of my Masonic memorabilia. So, for example, the new Masonic Tarot. I know this is backwards. On the Thursday, it's going to be the right way, I promise. New Masonic Tarot, a gift from Brian Maddox and the Brethren of Mount Horeb Lodge, 2021. So if you check it out, let's see if I can show you some of this stuff. And whenever possible, I'm going to make sure I show not just these. So like this is one of the tarot cards. This is one. I guess it should be this way technically. Whenever possible, what I'm going to do is do my best to not just share what it is, but the story behind it, how I got it. I think these are all the cards all together. Where I got it from, and why I think it's important for Masons to think about these type of things, as well as we'll talk about insurance recommendations for items, why lodges should invest in some of these types of keepsakes, and different things they can consider aside from the usual coins or pins, how you can display them, what you should do in terms of putting stuff in your will for end of life. So if, for example, anything happens to me, knock on wood it doesn't, my executor of my will knows where this stuff needs to go. So yeah, all that stuff matters quite a bit. And we'll be talking about it. And then obviously all of my pins about how you can get some of this stuff yourself as well. So yeah, it's neat because they're like made out of plastic. It looks like they were 3D printed out of plastic. And they have like some actual heft to them, which is really, really cool. Which one? There was a couple I showed. Like, this is the deck, right? And so this is the mosaic pavement or the checkered pavement. If anybody knows about geometry or sacred geometry, that's the, I can't think of it now, 1, 1, 2, 3, the spiral pattern, the Fibonacci sequence. Pillar with the J on it, pillar with the B underneath it. You can guess what those are. So yeah, really, really cool things. Oh, don't worry, Dad, there's plenty. There is plenty. And a lot of people are going to be joining, I think, for the first time that day as well. So, and they came in this really cool, like, blue tissue container, blue kind of napkin, which I appreciate because it helps keep them from being damaged. Although, honestly, the box is not the best. There we go. Novelty is a good thing, Rondo. When it comes to items such as this, novelty, I think, is a really, really good thing. It's something that you need. I'm not knocking, even, it could be novelty in the item itself, or it could also just be novelty in the type of, like it could be novelty in the type of items. So, tarot cards as opposed to a pin or a coin or something like that. Or it could be novelty in the design of a more usual item. So, for example, a coin that has a really unique design on it, or maybe a coin that has colors instead of just being black and white, or gold or silver, I should say. Right? Novelty is incredibly important, I think, when it comes to these items, because it's unfortunate, but it's very easy for some of these really special items to find themselves lost in a collection, especially if the collection gets big enough. But if you have something novel, it helps it stand out. So, like, when I think of all these pins, excuse me, that I'll be talking about, you look at a pin like, I'm trying to think of a really good example. A pin like this one here, which is kind of designed like a sun. It's an interesting shape. It's different. It's more novel than a typical design. It might cost a little bit more, but it's probably worth considering how we can incorporate some more novel items into our Masonic keepsakes. Well, yeah, the cards themselves. So you can think of novelty in two ways. Both of them are equally applicable, right? There's novelty in terms of the items themselves, and there's novelty in terms of the way you design those items. And both are equally important and equally valuable. So both need to be considered. But how is it going, Rondo? I hope that you're doing well. We're going to give it another hour before we start talking about our main subject today. Don't worry, Alonzo. When it comes on to the 24-hour live stream, there'll be plenty more things to talk about. So, honestly, I know it's 24 hours, so it's going to be, a very long stream, but there'll be a lot to talk about. And last time, it wasn't too bad. I enjoyed the 24-hour stream. I thought it was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. And seeing how we can do. Don't worry, there's a lot more. There's a lot more coming up. That's what will make it enjoyable. What is happening? Mr. Keeps on Ticking. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for being here. I would say the average is probably 60% have swag or things to give out, and 40% do not. And so, yes, we'll get your sleep, Mr. Keeps on Ticking. Don't put this stream ahead of your sleep, for heaven's sakes. Though I appreciate it nonetheless. That's your body to get some rest. So get yourself some rest. 60-40, I'd say. And honestly, I think having something to give out is a really good investment, and it's worth doing. It makes lodges more enjoyable. It makes guests have a fonder memory of your lodge and want to return to them. And you can buy in bulk once, and if you don't have a ton of visitors, they can last for several years. So it's worth it for sure. We got some hearts. I'm wondering if that might be Smokey back, who I'll be doing my live stream with on August 29th at 12 p.m. on my personal YouTube channel. So that should be a lot of fun. We're just going to hang out for now, though. I'm waiting to see who is going to be joining us before I start my main topic. Today's topic will be the quote I put above. I got to see if I can track it down now. It's a Dostoevsky quote. basically saying if Freemasonry or if nations fail to live by superior lofty ideas of service to mankind, it will sooner or later grow numb and die. Well, a lot, unfortunately, or fortunately, you can kind of define it as you will. There was in the 18th to 19th century and early 20th century a really big emphasis, especially in London, England, on mysticism. Like Egyptology was huge. That was a time when you had a lot of quote unquote gentlemen scholars who were just rich guys who traveled to Egypt and dig up, ancient Egyptian tombs. And there's big interest in occult. What's it called? Seances were huge at that time. People like Masons, like Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes, were huge into that type of thing. And as a consequence, a lot of Masons tended to start incorporating kind of occult or mystical elements within their writings. You see that even with Albert Pike a little bit, but certainly with Mackey, he said a lot of that type of stuff. And a lot of it was, to be honest, nonsense, just a matter of the time, right? But yeah, occultism. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the movie Mr. Keeps on Ticking, seen the movie The Others, starring Nicole Kidman, but that was in like the 1940s, but they had a seance in that movie because everybody was having seances. It was just huge in London, England at the time. The myth of the mummy. Well, no, I mean, it's because Freemasonry predates that. It's just, Freemasonry came around in 1717 or 1623. And that was the foundation of it. It's just that certain writers, Mackey being the main one, when they were writing about Freemasonry, tried to insert a bunch of mystical elements into it, because that was kind of the flavor of the times. In the same way, a lot of Egyptian symbology and mythology found its way into Masonic rituals because ancient Egypt was huge during the time some of the rituals were being written. Right, that was the age again of explorers going to Egypt and digging up Egyptian artifacts and then bringing them back to England, putting them in the Museum of London. But I mean, as I always say, Freemasonry has always been occult. If you take occult literally as being just meaning hidden, then there's always been elements of Freemasonry that have been hidden or private. But usually occult, I think, in modern discussions has an element or like nefarious undertones to it, which it never used to have. The term occult used to just mean something hidden, but the nefarious undertones were added in later years. I mean, I think you're talking about zombies. To my knowledge, mummies were not cannibals. I don't think so. I mean, I tend to recommend going in knowing less is better because you'll enjoy the experience more. And the danger is, I'm trying to think of how to describe it properly. It's a bit like going into a movie after reading spoilers. You might not enjoy it as much as if you just experience it for the first time. But having said that, there are some Masons who, for whatever reason, probably feel more comfortable reading as much as they can in advance. So be it. I tend to find though, and also the danger is because Mackey was written in 1912, I think. I could be getting that date completely wrong. Right, a lot of what he's writing about does not apply in 2025 and didn't even apply in 1912, depending on the jurisdiction, because Freemasonry is jurisdictional, right? So, what was I trying to say? So, the other danger is, you read Mackey, then you go into your ritual expecting certain things. When those things don't happen, you either feel disappointed or you're not able to focus on what's happening in front of you because you're thinking like, well, Mackey said this would happen, or when will this happen? It's just you're either going to be disappointed because you're not going to get what you would expect because Mackie is very outdated. You're not going to be able to focus because you're going to be thinking about what you read, or you're going to find some things spoiled within the lodge. So you might as well just enjoy it. Just enjoy it and take it in for the first time, and not kind of allow yourself to not like jump the headline or bury the headline. Really, I did not know that, Alonzo. Well, I would not do that myself. But again, that was an example of that mysticism kind of making its way throughout Europe at the time and really affecting, I think, the ability for people, for everybody to, I don't know what the right word is, to just enjoy the experience. I have no idea who Frowny Face is. Well, I'm not from Europe. I'm from Canada. I love Canada, born and raised. Grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba. However, Freemasonry was founded in Europe. So, whomever you are you referring to Europe when you say that, or um, what do you mean by saying go back to Europe? I'm kind of curious. And please, by the way, hit the like and subscribe button. How many wasps were there? That sounds terrible. Oh, I was way late. 1870. Okay, so even then, it's been about 100 and I can't do the math in my head. 150 years since Mackey's work was published. So a lot has changed, but I feel like there's a reprint. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Mackey Encyclopedia Masonry print dates. Oh, so there's a 1916 edition. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of because we have a copy of Mackey. We have a copy of Mackey in my Masonic building, and I believe it's the 1916 edition, revised and expanded by William Hughes. Because around 1916, the 1910s sounded really familiar to me, so that must be where I got that date from. Oh, 1917. It was published by the Masonic History Company in New York. European, native, real Canadians don't have pale skin. Well, I would consider myself a real Canadian. Having said that, I certainly can respect the fact that First Nations, Indigenous people were here first. And, do have kind of I guess, the right to say they were the first ones here. Having said that, I'm still staying in Canada because it is my home. Yeah, well, not a library. Well, actually, we do have a library in my Masonic building, but also just a ton of bookshelves scattered throughout the building with a ton of books in it. So, um, yeah, it is. Most Masonic buildings do have some of these standard books. Mackey's encyclopedia is pretty common. Um, One of the issues, though, they're working on it now, is we have a ton of books. They're no longer really in a single location the way they used to be. So we're trying to find like space where we can set it aside and say this is the Masonic library kind of thing. Fair enough. Frowny face. I really can't see what your name is, but I still hope you hit the like and subscribe button, despite the fact that I am a colonist. Although what I will say is Freemasonry has a really long and proud history of supporting First Nations. Chief Tecumseh here in the Essex County area was himself a Freemason. There is a Indian Masonic degree team out of Oklahoma, and there's actually a land acknowledgement in front of the Windsor Masonic Temple. So there you go. You can take that for whatever it's worth. There is a ton of information about King Solomon's Temple. I mean, it is one of the, I would say, one of the major elements of that degree, especially the SW degree. Welcome. It is, and Chief Tecumseh was a very important part of local history here in Windsor, as well as a Freemason, which is a cool little thing. Welcome, Johnny Rockwell. Please don't forget, Johnny Rockwell, that on August 21st, starting at 2 p.m., we will be having our 24-hour live stream, which is going to be a blast, starting 2 p.m. So come, I'm going to be showing off all of my different Masonic items, Masonic regalia, all that good stuff. It's going to be a blast. That's 2 days from now. Yes, that is 2 days from now. On August 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be starting an hour late than we normally start, just because that's the date that the patrons, or the time that the patrons wanted. Well, it won't be a lot of work if I have a lot of people join. So the more people I have being part of it, the better it's going to be, and the easier it's going to be. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope that you guys will take a moment and, like I said, join me for a 24-hour live stream, August 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern, going to go 24 hours straight. Amongst other things, I'll be showing off all of my Masonic regalia, pins, coins, and the stories behind them, and why it's important that we as Freemasons have these things. And if your lodge does not, in and of itself, have any of these things, like my dad's lodge, he said he doesn't have any pins or coins, then maybe he'll give you some ideas about things you can get, or why you should look at ordering, maybe in bulk, some special items. Welcome, Leonardo. Thank you for being here. I hope that you are doing well. Like I said, I hope, Leonardo, you will also join our 24-hour live stream starting August 21st at 2 p.m. And by the way, I hope that you are also going... You're from Brazil, right? How are things going in Brazil? You're not wrong. Certificates are super nice to receive. I love getting certificates. So then how are things going in Brazil, Leonardo? I want to make it back to Brazil. I was there once and I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. What is Google's keynote? Well, it keeps me out of trouble, you know? Keeps me out of trouble. How are things going for you in Brazil then? Let's put it that way. Because like I said, I will say, I loved Brazil. It was incredible. It was absolutely, in my opinion, one of it was a beautiful country. People were super friendly. I was in Rio. Now, obviously, I probably don't have the same experience that a lot of other people do have in Brazil. I get that. So I guess everybody will be over there. But those are all things that indeed make you blessed. So that is awesome. What's your dog's name? Olena or Little Ball. Yes, everybody follow Smokey's lead and hit those hearts. Don't just hang out here, though I appreciate you being here. Follow Smokey's lead and hit those hearts. It helps out big time. Um, well, frowny face person. I am a come one, come all kind of guy. I know a lot of Indians, people who've immigrated to Canada from India and are here for a short period of time, and they're awesome people. So come one, come all. So say I. Welcome to Brotherhood. Thank you for the hearts. Okay, that makes sense. And by the way, the Brotherhood, you can do those hearts, you can do the other hearts as well. I'm doing well. And the Brotherhood, please don't, forget about my 24-hour live stream. And everybody, check out the Brotherhood, his work on Spotify. You can find the link. I've saved it on all of my social media accounts. So I hope that you guys will consider checking it out. It's a really great article. Anytime you have, song. I appreciate anybody who takes the time to produce anything about Freemasonry, musically, poetically, a book, a show. Anytime you are using the creative arts to talk about Freemasonry, I support that 100%. Awesome. Thank you so much. Don't forget, it's starting an hour later than usual, August 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern instead of 1 p.m. Uh, nice, Smokey. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. It is a really, really great song. And again, we in Freemasons need to be willing to explore all these different aspects of it, or explore all the different ways we can promote the craft, not exclusively books or whatever it is, but songs, poetry, social media. All this stuff matters a lot and is really, really important. It was a blast. I mean, aside from getting a massive sunburn because it was a million degrees and I was in the sun, dying, it was still an absolute blast. The music was great. The people were great. I got some new subscribers to the podcast. It was a lot of fun. And so I hope that you checked out the live streams. Leave some comments on there. Whenever you find a video of mine, leave a quick comment on there. It helps out big time, promote it within the algorithm. And yeah, and it was again, I've said it a million times, I'll say it a million more. We as Freemasons need to be supportive of the people. We need to be supportive of the arts. We need to be supportive of artists within our community and our community in general. So we need to have a presence in festivals and events. And a big shout out and a big congratulations to the Masonic Chip program, the Masonic Child Identification program, in order to help children create packages in case they find themselves lost, worse, whatever it is. We're just giving it a bit more time. We're going to see who else joins. As I was saying, we have got the Let's see. The quote I want to share from Dostoevsky, which I want to talk about in about 25 minutes. The idea that Freemasonry will live or die, or nations will live or die based on how much they are of service to others. And Freemasonry, I think, will live or die based on how much it is of service to others. So it's a Dostoevsky quote. The quote was, I'm just pulling it up again. I left it at the start of the stream, but I did want to, I don't want to scroll back up there. So instead I'm just going to find it on my other feed. Give me 1 second. I lost it. Where'd it go? Here it is. So Dostoevsky said, if nations fail to live by superior disinterested ideas, by the lofty aims of serving mankind, and merely to serve their own interests, they must unfailingly perish, grow benumbed, wear themselves out, and die. Interestingly, Dostoevsky, I think, is Jordan Peterson's favorite writer. Which I'm no fan of Jordan Peterson, but you know he brings him up a lot. I've seen when he's talking, and he is really good writer. You're not wrong, Mr. Keeps on Ticking. I think life is more luck than anything else, for better or worse. Which is why you should never get too proud of yourself when things go well, nor get too disappointed when things go not well. Because if you do, you're going to be disappointed. The better thing to be able to do is just appreciate the good moments and remember that the bad moments will pass. Which is a Masonic ideal, right? Temperance. Not allowing yourself to feel like you're hot stuff because things are going well for you, nor allowing yourself to get too despondent when things don't go your way. I'm going to make this first thing the poll question here. For Freemasonry to survive, must it focus on service to others? I think most good artists have that capability, Leonardo. Most good artists, to at least a certain extent, have the capability to be read in ways that confirm whatever the pre-existing idea is. So it is possible to read Dostoevsky both on the left and on the right. Sadly, I could not put down yes and no. So I guess I could have actually, but I can't end the poll now. So you got to kind of pick one or the other. So that's an interesting way to look at it. I'll talk about that in a second. I would probably tend to disagree with that one. In my experience, you'll have more success if 90% of your focus is on service to others, and 10% is on kind of personal work. But others will say 50-50. Others would even say it should be the other direction. 10% service to others, 90% working on oneself. Challenger is back. How's it going, Challenger? We're going to start on our main topic in about 20 minutes. But first, Challenger, welcome back. I hope that you're doing well. Let me know how you're doing and if I've managed to convince you that Freemasonry isn't so bad at this point. Fool us in what way, Challenger? I mean, that's a really good way to put it, Mr. Keeps on Taking. That might be the best way I think anybody's ever put it, to be honest, even including me. Um, there are two groups in Freemasonry. One who want to use Freemasonry to grow. One who wants to see Freemasonry grow, and another group that isn't interested in Masonic growth, but rather wants to see Freemasonry focus on personal growth. So, for the latter, they would be happy if Freemasons met in someone's garage and had 10 members, so long as each of those 10 members is finding personal growth within the process. I personally think that's doing a disservice to Freemasonry, and we'll talk about why I think that is the case. But that is absolutely one of the main challenges or debates existing therein. What did he say to Satan on the mountain? Well, both have their value, I think, Challenger. But I am, it goes back to what I said about Steve Jobs, right? I talked about the Steve Jobs quotes, and I'm going to read the one I like the best. And by the way, this is going in a Medium story I'm working on. But the one that I like the best is when he said, the ability to put something into the world is extremely neat. Dun, dun, dun. I gotta find it now. Here it is. Steve Jobs, he believed that you should use your unique set of talents to make things that make the lives of other people better. Most people just take. He said the ability to put something back into the pool of human experience is extremely neat. So I feel like too many Masons, when they're joining, they're interested in what they can take from Freemasonry, as opposed to they're being interested in the ability to put something back into the pool of human experience, which I think is what they should be focused on. I mean, Smokey with a very good point. I can't debate that one, Challenger. Smokey with a very good point. Although, if I had to defend Challenger, I guess the response would be, I think what the actual quote was, judge not lest ye be judged. So the issue is not that they don't want judgment, rather they want to be judged on a certain standard, which they think they've got correct. One does not preclude the other. That is very true. But to what extent does one, what's one looking for? If your time is limited, as Steve Jobs said, and you have to focus on a particular, a particular approach, focusing more of your time on growing oneself may give you less time to focus on helping others. Now, obviously, there's a balance in that, right? Like I'm always saying, we as Freemasons need to focus on our health and well-being. The reason I say that is because by focusing on our health and well-being, we are A, going to take less resources from the community, and B, be in a better position to help others who may need it. So you need to care for yourself. But I think for me, it's the reason you're caring for yourself. Challenger says Freemasons will be judged on the day of judgment. I'm sure we will. I like to think I'm going to be judged okay, but who knows? I can say I know many Freemasons who I'm very confident will be judged very positively. As for me, I guess we'll wait and see. I have no idea. I try to be the best I can be. Beyond that, I got nothing. I think Mr. Keeps on Ticking, it is to a certain extent, though, an element of, what's the word I'm looking for? An element of focus and purpose. So, for example, I knew somebody who was super big into exercise, even more so than, me. He was super big into exercise. He cared about it a lot. He was always trying to, like, he was always getting to the gym. He was big in martial arts, jujitsu. Um, but the reason he was big on all of those things is not because he wanted to be in a better position to help others or to um, not, be healthy, so thereby he did not need to take resources from other people or whatever it is. Rather, it was out of a desire, and he told me this. He said he wants to know that if the world falls apart, he'll be okay, right? And that to me was a very unhealthy approach to take. He's doing the right things. I agree with wanting to be healthy, but you should want to be healthy not so you'll be okay, so you can help make sure others are okay, right? So I think sometimes it's the emphasis, it's the way you focus on things more so than anything else that matters. Um, Getting yourself healthy so you can make other people, better is more important than getting yourself healthy for your own sake. That is true, Mr. Keeps on Ticking. But what I'd say there is, it sounds like, I mean, I don't know you um, very well. I'm very happy that you are one of my audience members and honored to have you. But it seems like you're the type of person who, when you're working on yourself to get the good degree and get the good job, you were doing so not, I could be wrong, but you're doing so not out of, a selfish reason of I just want to be, take care of myself. It's because you're the type of person who'd want to care for others in some way, shape, or form, and want to know that you would be there to help others if they needed it. And doing those things puts you in a position to help others, and it puts you in a position to be a good member of society and be a helpful member of society, right? I've known people who want to get the good job just so they can have the good job and they can say they got the good job, which does not strike me as a very healthy approach, in my oh so humble opinion. And I think that's the point. Because in my experience, people who join Freemasonry out of a desire for personal growth, as opposed to what they can give back to the community or give back to the world, or put something back into the world, is not so, they don't have a lot of sticking power in it per se. Okay, that's an interesting view, Dad, that the idea of service to others comes in the concordant bodies. I help me because somebody had. That is true. If you don't help yourself, who is going to help you? It's kind of like Cobra Kai, right? If you're Mr. Nice Guy, the world will walk all over you. You need to find a balance. I just got into a big Cobra Kai kick recently. A lot of interesting Masonic ideals in it. Sometimes, Leonardo, though, you are absolutely correct as well. Sometimes personal growth is a consequence of helping others, as much as it is a consequence of helping oneself. He does. He does stay quiet. Although the last comment I got from him was on the day of judgment. Um, on the day of judgment, Masons will be judged, which again, I can't speak for all Masons. I assume I get judged every single day, whether I succeed or not, or I'm successful or not, who knows. But I do try my best for whatever it's worth. What movies do I think are the most Masonic inspired? Honestly, I'm not even going to say movie. I'm going to say television show at the start. The Simpsons, Homer the Great. Well, then don't be married, Leonardo. I leave my underwear on the floor all the time, and I'm doing a great job. So keep that in mind. Homer the Great, it's the Stonecutters episode of The Simpsons. Not because it's accurate in the sense of, none of those rituals are actual rituals. We're not, there's no stone of shame or stone of triumph or whatever it is. Um, but really, it's, the idea of what Freemasonry is as being at its core a club where people want to join to get that sense of belonging, no different than kids with their treehouse forts, and kind of the silly, goofy fun of, that scene of the Grand Master, whatever it is, announcing they'll have ribs for dinner and everybody cheering. That's very, very Masonic. I've been to meetings where a master says, like, we're going to have pizza for dinner and everybody cheers because at home they have to eat healthy or whatever it is. From Hell, there's some similarities there, obviously. Not, to my knowledge, Jack Drip was on a Freemason, but that's a whole other can of tuna. Murdoch Mysteries, a little bit. Dislodged and Psych. The Man Who Would Be King. I guess those would be the ones I'd mention. Those are both TV and movies. Haven't read Pillars of the Earth or watched the movie, but operative Freemasonry, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of movies about operative Masons that would be really cool to check out. I've never seen it, but I don't think that's the case. I do not believe Boogie Nights is Masonic. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Hello, Ryan. How's it going? I hope that you are doing well. I hope everybody watching this is doing well. Please take a moment. If you're new, hit the like and the subscribe button. Let me know if there's anything that you guys want to chat about. In about 10 minutes, we're going to start on the subject, really, which is the idea of service to others, and whether Freemasonry needs to focus on service to others as a way to survive, or if self-growth is a way to survive, and how do we find the balance between the two? Interesting, in terms of the number of votes, we had 9 votes, 78% yes, so it looks like so Murdoch Mysteries did a television episode about Freemasonry. Psych did an episode called Dislodged about Freemasonry. I'm trying to think of the other ones I mentioned. Stonecutter's episode, Homer the Great. The Man Who Would Be King did a great episode about Freemason, or The Man Who Would Be King was a great movie that featured Freemasonry. Pillars of the Earth talked about operative Freemasonry. So those are... I do not think Trump would make a good Mason, but Freemasonry, is not meant to consider politics during an application process. So if he joined, I'm sure he would be accepted, so long as he expressed belief in the Supreme Being. Is over the age of 21, and to join the fraternal side of it is a man. Okay, inspired in the sense that they convey a Masonic message or use Masonic symbolism. That's a tougher one because there are so many, there's so many different types of Masonic kind of lessons and so many movies. National Treasure, I think you could argue, was certainly one that not just had Masonic symbolism in it, but conveyed the best parts and the best aspects of Freemasonry. Although, again, it plays on a lot of myths that are just not the case. It still, conveys those things well. So maybe National Treasure. Any movie that emphasizes the importance of brotherhood, of friendship, honestly, and this is going to sound weird, but it's true. There's this movie called Scout's Guide to Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse, or Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. If you replace Scouts with Masons, the emphasis on teamwork, brotherhood, caring about others, supporting others, the challenges Scouts are facing as a reflection of the challenges Freemasonry's facing, all of those things could 100% count and apply for that. So that's a really, I've had an idea for a movie forever where it is, where the emphasis is, Freemasons fighting zombies. So hopefully one day, I get that movie made. No, get out of there, Smokey. Go see your boss. Thank you for being here. Well, I mean, so there's a ton of movies that will include Masonic symbolism as like either just because it's a cool background shot, like in the Miami Vice movie, there's a shot of the Miami Scottish Rite Cathedral, just because it was a cool shot to have. On in the X Files, they shot a scene in a cemetery, and you see a Masonic tombstone with the square and compasses. Um, so there's a ton of things like that takes place, and then on top of that, but that's just kind of in the background. On the top of that, there's a ton of movies and TV shows that have used Masonic backdrops as just cool shots or redressed them. So in The Good Witch, which is actually one of my favorite TV shows, the Scottish Rite Cathedral in Hamilton is a is used as the Good Witch's as the Middleton City Hall. It was used in It Chapter 2. So, United Grand Lodge of England was used at a filming location. So, oftentimes you will find that Masonic buildings and spaces and symbolism is incorporated for various reasons. Sometimes for no other reason than it looks cool. Sometimes as a way to add character or flavor to some element of a movie or like a character itself. So, for example, in Prisoners, Jake Gyllenhaal's detective wears a Masonic ring. It's never referenced why he wears the ring. It's never referenced if he is in fact a Freemason himself or just liked the ring. But you see him wearing it throughout the movie. So there's lots of different ways in which Freemasonry kind of sneaks its way into these things. United Grand Lodge of England, Assassin's Creed. Well, Masonry was used in Assassin's Creed Part 3, the video game. So it's one of my favorite video games for that reason. And one of the ones I play consistently. There is an episode of I've never heard of Strange Angel. Sorry, Leonardo. What is Strange Angel? Is it a American TV show? Is it on Netflix? Where might one find it if one were interested in, let's say, tracking it down? Sleepy Hollow, a TV show that's currently on Disney Plus, references Freemasonry very heavily in a couple episodes. The Freemasons end up getting their heads chopped off, but, it's worth it to be in a TV show. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen the... Oh, I've never seen the movie. It starred the guy from Steve Jobs, though, right? Michael Fassbender. But no, certainly part 3 of season 3 of whatever you call it, game 3, part 3 of Assassin's Creed featured Freemasonry quite heavily. I even posted a lot of that onto my YouTube channel. What is going on, the taco guy? How are you doing? Hit that like button if you get the chance and let me know what's new and exciting. And that taco guy, don't forget, on August 22nd at 2 p.m., we're going to start my second 24-hour live stream. I'm going to try to do a live stream of 24 hours every month at 2 p.m. on the 21st of the day. I don't know for sure if I'll get it done, but that's my goal. By the way, I also have an Instagram live stream taking place on August 20th from 3 to 6. We'll see how that goes. Trying something new, trying something different. The movie Rosewood. Were we the good guys, the bad guys? Were we neutral? Rosewood, 1997 film. Freemasons. Oh, a Prince Hall Masonic Lodge. Okay, that makes sense then. Because Rosewood was about race riots, right? Or not even race riots. It was about massacre of black people, right? In a town in Rosewood, I think. Well, I mean, it was probably accurate. I'm guessing there was a lot of racism that existed in Masonic lodges throughout history. Because Freemasons are human beings. I sometimes wish we weren't. But the problem with being a human being is you are subject to the same prejudices as your time. Hopefully, you be better, and many people are better than the prejudices of their time, but many people also are not. So I think it's just tough. Rosewood, or do you mean more just in general? The Masonic ring, it's a very cool ring. I mean, you'll get to see my ring. I'm not going to show that right now because I want to leave some things, but you'll get to see my Masonic ring in 2 days, starting at the 24-hour live stream, along with my Masonic jewels. I've shown some of them, but not all of them. Um, and, I think it's going to be really cool to show those things off. And it's a good thing to do just for me, even as a reminder of how lucky I've been in terms of the places I've got to visit and travel to, and why travel is so important. Some of the successes I've had, some of the rings are, local, not even rings. Some of the items I have are kind of things I got as a consequence of the work I've put into Freemasonry. Some of them are a consequence of travel. Some of them were gifts and tokens and thank yous. And so it's one of those things where there's so many different things I've had that have been, part of my life, and I get to share them. I also really enjoy the fact that sometimes I get to share tokens with other people through my Patreon. Patreon.com/Square and Compass. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not be surprised that there were many Rosewoods. Um, Unfortunately, it is human nature, I think, for some of these things to happen. The worst parts of ourselves to win out over the best parts of ourselves. Undercover as well, many do that, which is perfectly fine as well, right? There are many Masons who, for whatever reason, don't like to let people know that they're a Mason. Usually, those are the type of people who don't like to let people know if they have a pet, or like they just like to avoid letting people know about personal info. So I know many Masons who don't wear rings or shirts or whatever it is. They don't advertise they're a Mason on social media. They just go to their Masonic meeting, and then they Um, and that's what they do, which is fine. Uh, everybody has the right to do as they, to explain or not explain that they're a Freemason. I personally, because I love it, I love talking about it, and I think we need to be as open as we can be. I choose to talk about it all the time. But certainly others have different kind of characters or or pick your term. Both, but yeah, many do not like to share that they're a Freemason. Privacy, just as Ryan says. I did not, but I heard there was a scene where what was it, in Flowers of the Moon or something? I can't even think of the name of the movie. A Mason got a paddling, which has not ever happened. I can say I've been a Mason since 2007. At no point have I ever found myself on the receiving end of a paddling. So, not saying I wouldn't enjoy it, right? I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy it. I'm just saying it's never happened to me. So I'll leave that out there for the people. Of course, it's on YouTube. No, you can broadcast your membership. Um, Now, you can, there are some charges. So every jurisdiction has different charges, right? That's a really important thing to keep in mind is every Masonic lodge has, or not Masonic lodge, but every jurisdiction has slightly different charges. Um, but I've never seen a charge where it states that the individual himself is not allowed to disclose his membership within Freemasonry. There are charges that will say you're not allowed to let people know if someone else is a Freemason, that I can't point to somebody on the street and say, hey, that guy, he's a Freemason, uh, as he sees fit. And there are some places in the world where being a Freemason is criminal, like Iran, for example. Um, but I am free to disclose that I am a Freemason to whomever I so choose. That's one of the reasons why whenever I'm doing my podcast episodes, I always get people to sign a waiver, just so they know for sure that just so I know for sure that I have permission to share their information and that they are a Freemason with others. But no, I don't think I would join an organization if one of the requirements was that I would be told that I could not tell others I was a part of the organization. Because at that point, it would lend credence to conspiracy theorist ideas that, something is being hidden. So I don't think, put it this way, if I were to join an organization and then during the charges find out that I'm not allowed to tell others that I'm a Freemason, I would probably leave the organization because I would think that that would be an indication that there's some type of nefarious business that they're up to. Well, H. Dolph, question mark to you too. I'm not sure why you picked such a screen name. That seems like a very trollish screen name to me. Challenger, you're not wrong. People do know the hand signs, but I will never tell them myself because it's not about the way others act that matters. It's about the way I act that matters. That's the most important thing. That has to be the most important thing. By the way, Needle, congratulations on a excellent hip hop festival. I wish you could have put in a call to Mother Nature, so I was not melting while I was there, as were we all. But thank you so much. You did an excellent job with the hip hop festival. It was a blast. We had 4 people take part in the CHIP program for kids with parental support, obviously, and the parents were there. A lot of excellent music, a lot of cool vendors. I enjoyed the people I was hanging out with that I'd sit up next to. I forget their names, but they were selling soap. They were very kind, very cool people, and I enjoyed volunteering at the actual CHIP program as well. So it was a blast. And I know that Martin Olette from Temple Blooms came by, or Bloomsbury House, and handed out some business cards to some of the artists. He also sent me some pictures, which I was going to share with you. And I know that Nick had a great time, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Ronaldo was there. There you go. That's what you want. You want your friends to know you're a Freemason. It seems crazy to me if you don't tell your friends. Well, so you're not supposed to share the secrets of Freemasonry, and that includes, you know, putting them in writing because you may think to yourself, I'm going to put the secrets, which really are the modes of recognition, in writing, but I'll just keep it for myself and not show anybody. But if you lose the notebook on which you've written it, or the paper on which you've written it, or you lose your phone through which you've recorded something, and someone else finds it, then you've disclosed the modes of recognition. But I could write down in a book, I am a Freemason, a million times, and it wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, I know the reference. I know to what you were referring, Rondo. Basically saying, don't write down the secrets because now you've created a record that others can find. Although to be honest, the secrets have been written so many times already that I don't know how much it actually makes a difference. Practically, it's more about you and your ability to live with yourself and your ability to know that you tried to do the right thing, however it is that you could. It is very different, Ryan, and I think that's for the best. But Freemasonry, the thing is, Freemasonry was so ubiquitous, you didn't need to talk about it. People just knew. People just knew all about it. You didn't need to talk about it so much. Z, welcome. By the way, Z, please don't forget, I know you're in Alabama, but August 22nd, sorry, August 21st, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to have my 24-hour live stream. So starting 2 p.m. Eastern, I hope you'll join me. I'll be showing off all of my Masonic pins, coins, regalia, tokens, mementos, all the things I love. Mr. Keeps on Ticking. I just said a lot of people choose to go not undercover per se, but choose to not wear rings, not talk about being a Freemason, not let people know they are a Freemason. Everybody kind of has their own view on whether they want to share or not that they are Freemason. For the longest time, I never understood that. I always felt that if you're going to be a Freemason, you should want to talk about it and want to share. But as I've got a little bit older, I'm a little bit more sanguine about that, and a little bit more kind of if at the end of the day, it's people's decisions, the information they wish or not wish to share about themselves, and if they don't want to tell people that they are a Freemason, then more power to them. So long as they're showing up to lodge regularly and caring about the lodge, that's what matters the most. Well, that's the thing, Harry. That's what I always say. There's a lot of true information on the internet, but there's also a lot of false information on the internet. And the problem with not being a Freemason is you're not going to know which is which. So a lot of times, I've had people on Twitter, for example, come to me and say, "Well, I've seen videos showing Freemasons committing some type of horrible ritual or human sacrifice or whatever it is." First I say, well, if it's that, it's either a movie or fake. But I said, whatever you're seeing, unless you're a Mason yourself, how do you know it's real? How do you know it's a legitimate lodge? Right? Because I could call myself Cameron Adamson, Rotary member, go online and post a video of myself doing something crazy, and then say this is what the Rotary does. Unless you're a Rotary member yourself, you're not going to know if it's true or not. You need that firsthand experience or the knowledge of somebody who has firsthand experience to help guide you through what's true and what's BS. It's one of the costs of doing business, that's for sure. It is absolutely one of the costs of doing business, Z, is that if you want to talk about being a Freemason and you want to talk about it a lot and you want to talk about it regularly, you are going to find yourself getting dragged into some challenging conversations. Keeps me aerodynamic, Ryan. Keeps me aerodynamic. Keeps me out of trouble. Yes, but that does not mean we need to keep ourselves. Um, um, we cannot reveal that we ourselves are Freemasons. So, I think we can get started on our discussion now. I'm going to find that quote one more time. Hello, Carl. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. Don't forget, August 21st, 24-hour live stream starting 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So I discovered a Dostoevsky quote, which I shared on my social media. I shared it on X, formerly Twitter. If nations fail to live by superior disinterested ideas, by the lofty aims of serving mankind, and merely to serve their own interests, they must unfailingly perish, grow benumbed, wear themselves out, die. And I think you could take that quote and reapply it to Freemasonry and restate it as, if Freemasons or Freemasonry fails to live by superior disinterested ideas, by the lofty aims of serving mankind, and merely to serve its own interests, it must unfailingly perish, grow benumbed, wear itself out, die. So what do we mean by that, right? There are two approaches that a Masonic lodge can take. August 22nd is your 33rd wedding anniversary? Well, that's awesome, Carl. But that means August 21st, you're going to be free at 2 p.m. So that should give you time to tune in to my 24-hour live stream. And it would be very much appreciated if you did. So, Freemason lodges have two general directions they can take. The first is to focus on serving its own interests exclusively, which would be a constant effort and a constant desire to, for example, grow its membership numbers, have its Masonic membership remain engaged and return to lodge, the Masonic growth of its membership, its financial matters, two very broad ones, Carl. Two very broad ones. Obviously, there is an overlap between the two, and it's not a 100% one direction or 100% the other direction. There are ways that you can incorporate one within the other. But I do believe in the most general sense, there's two approaches the lodge can take. The first is serving its own interests, and the second is serving mankind, or at the very least, serving the communities in which it is located, right? So for example, a example of a lodge serving its own interests exclusively would be for refreshments after lodge, trying to serve, the cheapest but still enjoyable meal to its membership. So that might mean you have a junior warden that cooks the food himself to save money, whatever it might be, right? It's not that the food is bad, but the food is done as, inexpensively as possible. A lodge serving, the lofty goal of serving the community might be that the junior warden goes out, finds a local community business that has just started, that is brand new, and says to it, hey, do you want to cater our Masonic events? Maybe be willing to spend a little bit more money. However, you are now serving the interests of the community. You are now relevant to the community, right? Because I think serving the community is another way of saying being relevant to the community. And I do think what I have seen over time is those Masonic lodges that focus on service to itself and do not focus on ways it can serve the community do end up, as Dostoevsky says, um, unfailingly perish, grow benumbed, wear itself out, and die. The reason being, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't know for sure if I'm correct or not, but I can tell you based on what I've seen, is when a lodge focuses exclusively on advancing or serving its own interests, it tends to get on a almost a treadmill approach where so much of its focus is just on paying the bills, just on getting through the meeting, just on getting done what it needs to get done, that it becomes very hard for it to grow, right? Because it's just focused on the short term, getting through the day, getting through the meeting. If it's focused on serving the community, um, not only does it have more of a reason to grow or more of a reason to keep going, and it sees how it is helpful to the community, it sees the businesses it supports, it sees, I know right now, Carl, you're the one person talking in the chat. Other people jump in the chat, say hello to Carl. Um, the motivation in the lodge tends to grow because it sees why it's important, why it matters. It sees the benefit of helping other people. Like Ryan was there for it. Do you remember, Ryan, when we did that ice cream tasting at the coffee club as part of a Border Cities Lodge meeting? I mean, yes, the membership enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but more than that, it helped a small business, find a new customer. It helped a small business get off the ground. And now, if we in Freemasonry ever want to do an ice cream social or do a public event, we have made a relationship with someone who maybe they'll give us a discount, maybe they'll help us out. And even if not, we can still say, somebody has food on their table in the community because a Masonic lodge took the time to support that business. It gives you something to move for instead of this just survival. It's a bit like a lodge that focuses on its own interests is treading water. A lodge that focuses on community interests, it's a bit like swimming towards an island. If you're stuck at sea and you don't see any islands around, you can focus on your own interests by just treading water and hoping someone comes and finds you, but you're going to wear yourself out eventually. But if you're trapped or stuck at sea and you see an island, you now have something to swim toward. And the beautiful thing about service to others, it's like an island you can create for yourself. You're not going to get tired. You're going to get tired no matter what. You're going to get less tired if you have a direction towards which you can swim, and towards which you can find support, or find a purpose. Right. The other challenge of service to the lodge and why I think it numbs lodges and causes them to die is it really becomes anti-growth. And the reason it becomes anti-growth is because you're focusing on the interests of your own membership, but nobody has any kind of, you're not going to attract any new members because nobody has a relationship with the lodge outside of those already within it, right? So again, we went to this ice cream shop. We got ice cream tasting. Now, there's at least 3 people, the owners of that shop, who have at least some knowledge of Freemasonry, of what it is, of how it helped and supported their business. So maybe one day some of them will want to join Freemasonry themselves, or they'll have a friend who's talking about wanting to join something or take part in something, and they'll know, hey, it's the Masonic Lodge that helped me out. Go check them out. You make a connection with 10, 20 businesses over, let's say, a 5-year period. That's 10 to 20 people who now know about Freemasonry, know about your lodge, know you've been there to support them. They're more likely to either think about joining or recommend joining to other people, right? You could even argue that is the same case or the same way with charitable endeavors. When I was at DJ Needle's hip hop festival, right? And being there in person with my table, showing off my Masonic items, which is good practice. Now, people in the hip hop community have a sense and understanding of what Freemasonry is and how it works, and how potentially it can, they can now think about Freemasonry if they want to join something. So, when, Dostoevsky says, again, paraphrasing, but if nations fail to live by disinterested ideas, by the lofty aims of serving mankind, and merely to serve their own interests, they must unfailingly perish, grow benumbed, wear themselves out, and die. Right? What he's saying is, if your focus is exclusively on doing things for yourself and not for others, it's like treading water. You have nowhere to go. You have no goals ultimately. But if your focus is on serving others, even if you are, even if you're doing something for your own good, like exercising, ultimately you're going to be more motivated to keep exercising because you will know and understand that being healthy is not about you. It's about how you can contribute to the community and the world at large, which is, in my opinion, what the goal of every Freemason should be. Again, as Steve Jobs said, Challenger says seems to be all the Freemasons like gay stuff. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I like gay people. I have some gay friends. I'm not a fan of gay stuff personally, but hey, to each their own. And if that's what you're into, Challenger, good for you. You do you. So, where is it? As Steve Jobs said, he believed you should use your unique set of talents to make things that make the lives of people better. Most people just take. The ability to put something back into the pool of human experience is extremely neat, right? That is what you talk about, dedication to work and effort and making the world a better place. You look at the dedication that it took to build Apple, to build the Macintosh. He was doing so out of a desire to put something back into the pool of human experience. That's what motivated him and his team, and that's what helped make them a success. If the entire focus had been on themselves and what they could take, as opposed to what they could give, I don't believe Apple would have been as successful as it was. And so I think, again, this is not to imply that this is a 100% one way or the other. Obviously, part of any Masonic experience is finding a balance between how much you choose to focus on your personal Masonic growth versus how much you choose to focus on contributing to the world. And there's never going to be a point where it's 100% a focus on the world or 100% a focus on oneself. There will always be a balance to be struck. One of the biggest skills you can find is finding that balance between the two. But in my experience, those who focus more or to a greater extent on what they can give to the world tend to, at least in a Masonic context, tend to last longer and have a better Masonic experience than those who tend to focus on what Freemasonry can give to them or what they can take from Freemasonry. I've actually talked about this a lot in my Medium page when I wrote about the television show Angel and why I think Angel had an excellent lesson on the values that Freemasonry offers, which is the value of fighting for a better world. Whether you succeed or not is a different can of tuna, but just the effort really is what matters. Is that a reference to Monty Python? Monty Python is great. I love Monty Python. Actually, I say that I'm not a huge comedy fan, to be honest. But, I remember growing up watching the Knights of the Holy Grail with my dad, who's a British man, and enjoying Monty Python. I wonder if any of the Monty Python guys are Freemasons. Well, there's a famous Monty Python Masonic sketch. If you ever get the chance, type into YouTube Monty Python, the architect sketch, how to recognize a Mason. It's got 12,000 views. It's very funny. Um, or how to recognize a Mason, the secret handshake. It is hilarious. Believe me, check it out. You will enjoy it. Um, it always makes me laugh. So, Challenger, none of those people were Masons, to my knowledge. I could be incorrect, but Diddy was not a Freemason. I know that to be the case 100%. Um, R. Kelly was not a Freemason, I believe. Having said that, there have been bad people who have been Freemasons. Freemasons are human beings, and unfortunately, there have been bad Freemasons. Just like there's been bad plumbers, bad carpenters, bad politicians, bad presidents, bad police officers, bad people on welfare. The extent to which one is good or bad pretty much crosses all thresholds. Though I'd like to think that if people were to take the Masonic lessons and ideals seriously, they would themselves not do bad things. Some were, some were. Ben Franklin was Challenger. George Washington was. John Paul Jones, John Hancock. I don't know if John Paul Jones actually counts as a founding father, but he was the first commander of the American Navy. I would say, though, that to me is a positive sign because America is a pretty great country. I have some issues with their current. I have some issues with their current leadership, which is a whole other can of tuna. But no, I would absolutely say free America is a pretty great country, and so I would take the fact that the founding fathers were Freemasons as a positive sign. I believe I could be mistaken. I believe 9 of the founding fathers were Freemasons. Um, Freemasons who were founding fathers. I'm going to guess 9. Let's see if Google agrees with me because I can't remember the number off the top of my head. 9. I was right. At least 9 of the founding fathers are known to have been Freemasons. I did know George Washington had slaves. I did not know that he used their teeth for dentures, which is not cool. Having said that, I'm going to say I think people often are kind of victims of their time, of the prejudices of their time. And so, it's a complicated legacy. I don't know how people square that circle. For me, what I would say is, despite the negative qualities of him, keeping slaves, things like that, I still believe the founding of America was a good thing for the world. And I think a world with America is better than a world without America. Oh, I know about Thomas Jefferson. I mean, I know some things about Thomas Jefferson, but I also know he wrote the Declaration of Independence, which is a pretty great document. At least I understand he was. So, he wrote it. It's one of those things you kind of have to. Everybody has to figure out for themselves how best to square the circle that a lot of people we admire did some pretty terrible things, or at least a lot of people the work of whom we admire did some pretty terrible things, and some of those were themselves Freemasons. So, it always, even personally, like I've known Freemasons who've been found guilty of driving while intoxicated. They end up staying Freemasons because no one takes the time to bring them up Masonic charges. Though technically, if you're found guilty of a criminal offense while you're a Freemason, you should be kicked out. It doesn't happen if it's usually doesn't happen if it's something quote unquote small. I don't think it is small, but small, like driving while intoxicated. And even that disappoints me. So you can imagine how disappointed I would be when Freemasons in the past owned slaves. But I don't know. I think we're all kind of struggling with those questions just in day to day life. How blind are you to Freemasonry? Well, Challenger, I do not believe myself to be blind. I have been a Freemason since 2007. I've attended over 1,000 meetings in 4 continents. I talk about Freemasonry all the time on social media. I know a lot of friends who are Freemasons. Um, and it's very hard for me to imagine I would be blind to Freemasonry, having spent so much time in it and around it. And that's not to say I don't have more to learn. I 100% have more I need to learn. But, and that it would be, I would say, Challenger, one of the potential differences between you and I, though I don't know you well, is I admit there's more I could learn about Freemasonry. Would you admit that there's more that you could learn about Freemasonry? Maybe from someone who is himself a Freemason. Times have changed 100%. Times have changed and times have continued to change. My pops is, do you mean like literally, is he still alive? He is. Or do you mean figuratively with us on the stream? Because he is on the stream as well. Or he was. His name is Harry. I don't know if he's still there or not. But he was on the stream once upon a time. So, and by the way, congratulations to I wanted to mention this earlier, Johnstown Masonic Convention and Expo space. If I could find it now. Let's see. The Johnstown Masonic Event and Conference Center was officially listed in the National Register of Historic Places on August 13th, 2025. Thank you to everyone who helped achieve this significant milestone. Absolutely, or honor. Nothing but respect to the Johnstown Masonic Temple for what it was able to accomplish. Those guys, I've had them on the podcast. I believe Paul Revere was a Freemason. I don't know for sure, but I believe he was. If I recall correctly, he was. Absolute champion building. Absolute amazing place. Deserves all the respect in the world. If you get the chance to visit it, you should. It's an awesome spot. It's in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I tried to look up the actual listing and I couldn't. I'm not sure if that's because it's just too recent, but he was a Freemason. To my knowledge, John A. MacDonald was a Freemason. I don't know if Mackenzie King was, and Tommy Douglas was a Freemason. The last Masonic Canadian Prime Minister was John Diefenbaker, who actually visited the Windsor Masonic Temple while he was the Prime Minister, which was really cool. Canadian Prime Minister Freemasons. Let me double check if I can remember. No, it looks like he wasn't, at least according to Google. Sir Johnny MacDonald, which I knew, John Abbott, Mackenzie Bowell, Borden, Bennett, and Diefenbaker. Bennett was definitely, Bennett was the prime minister just before Mackenzie King. Lord of the Rings. Lord of the is all in capitals. I am not talking about Freemasonry from my mother's basement. I'm talking about it from my apartment in Windsor, Ontario, which is, a wonderful city. My mom no longer even has a basement. But Lord of the Rings, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Once again, Lord of the Rings, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. That is true, but I do have a cat, so I hope that counts for something, Lord of the Rings. I also have Freemasonry, which I'm proud to say helps me help other people. But you know, I'm not in a race. I have plenty of time to have a family. I know some people who didn't have a wife and kids till they were 50, but still managed to do so. So it's not a race. You should be willing to live your life at your own pace and do what you think is best. Plus, I'm always at a Masonic meeting, so it's a hard place to find women in Masonic lodges, as I'm sure you can imagine. Well, the wife and kids wouldn't be age 50. I would be age 50. I have no idea what age the wife would be. Um, Professional bowlers, I don't know. Google might know. I have no clue if there's ever been any professional Mason bowlers. I will say, when you're looking at social events that you want to do or take part in, absolutely, what you should look at doing is bowling nights. Bowling nights are great social events. A lot of people tend to really enjoy them. They're a lot of fun. They're easy to organize, relatively speaking, and they're really, really enjoyable. So, at age 50, you'll be marrying a wife for your neighbor. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that possibly means. I would not want to have my wife be my neighbor. That would kind of defeat the purpose of having a wife. Are you saying that at age 50, my neighbor will want to be my wife? Because right now, all my neighbors are either men or married. So I don't think that's going to be a successful approach to take, Lord of the Rings. But hey, you know, you focus on the things you care about. And for me, you know, it's never too late to have a family, but I want to try to focus on trying to save Freemasonry. Or at least not even save it per se, but move it in the direction I think it needs to move to be relevant to the communities and to be a force for good in the world. Well, maybe my neighbor will be very handsome, so what could I do? It's just garnish covering the truth. What might the truth be? So interesting enough, by the way, we got 11 votes. For Freemasonry to survive, must it focus on service to others? Yes is at 73%. No is at 27%. Speaking of sports events, though, May 30th, we have, or sorry, I don't know why I said May. August 30th, we've got a softball game here in Windsor. So being put on by by Windsor Lodge. I hope that you guys will check it out if you get the chance. It's going to be a lot of fun. Was Dobie handsome? Because then, yes, I am Dobie from Harry Potter. I assume Dobie was the most handsome character in Harry Potter. I mean, I can ask others what they think, but I think they'll tell me the same thing. I don't think it has to, Carl, but money helps things for sure. If you have money, you're better able to kind of do things that have no short-term, immediate benefit, right? That's why Masonic lodges do need to have money in the bank, because it lets them do things and think in a more long-term way, as opposed to just trying to survive, which means they need to think in a very short-term way. I do not know, Carl. You cannot ruin a man. A man can only ruin himself, would be the Stoic philosophy approach to it, as well as the Masonic approach to it. And it's the approach that I would agree with myself. You ruin you more so than other people ruin you. Right? Like, you know. Well, I have the Masonic forehead as in I'm always squinting like this because I'm always annoyed by something, because there's always a bunch of work to do. By the way, Lord of the, as well as everybody else watching, please don't forget, on August 21st, I will have my second 24-hour live stream. I'm going to try to do one every 21st, starting at 2 p.m. We're going to be talking, amongst other things, about my Masonic coin and pin collection. And, and just memento collection in general, and why those things are important, why I love having them, why they help. Why they help lodges have success in terms of getting members, getting visitors, getting people to return, promotion for the lodge, all that good jazz. I have to leave now, but I was thinking about the Child Amputee program. Child Amputee program's a great program. It's amazing all the things it did for me and all the things that it does for everybody around the world. Or not, Canada, I should say. Everybody around Canada who is themselves a child amputee or is the family member, the parent, the guardian of a child amputee. Absolutely incredible program. I was very proud to be a part of it. Well, it doesn't hurt, Lord of the Rings. It doesn't hurt. Interesting. There's kind of an interesting history behind that. For the longest time, if you want to be a Freemason, you could not be a Freemason and be disabled in any way, like missing any limbs. The reason that changed in Ontario was because of World War II. In World War I, veterans returning from the war were missing limbs, wanting to join Freemasonry, as many veterans did, and it was obviously pointed out how terrible it was to not allow veterans who fought for the country, to not allow them to become Freemasons. So the rule was changed, and they were changed it, and people missing their limbs, such as myself, who's missing my legs, from that point forward, we could be Freemasons. I try my best. Whether I do have the right attitude or not, I do not know, but I definitely try my best. Timmy, I remember Timmy. I just sending something away quickly. All the special kids are Freemasons. Well, we are. I mean, I'm special. My mom always told me I was special, so I think that should count for something. As for the rest of us who are not special, I will leave that up to you to decide. But I think Freemasonry is a special thing, and I know you're saying that in a sarcastic way. I'm saying it in a literal way. I think we in Freemasonry, it's a very special thing. It's not the exclusively special thing in the world, but it's one of them. That's a very Masonic idea. So we are back now at that point in the stream where we're just going to chat and talk about I don't know what identifies as a Freemason would even mean, Lord of the. I just am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason since 2007. The purpose of this stream is to talk about Freemasonry and the ways in which it was relevant to the communities in which it was located, as well as to just chat about things in general that I enjoy about Freemasonry or stories of Masonic interest. So I hope that you will, if you have any questions about Freemasonry, please let me know. But I've been a Freemason since 2007, and I'm very proud of being a Freemason since 2007, and proud of not just being a Freemason, but actually being super active therein. Because it's not easy to be active within Freemasonry. It takes a lot of time, effort, dedication, hard work, all those other things. Let's not poke anybody with sticks. Let's not do that. How about? Let's just avoid poking people with sticks, because if you poke someone with a stick, they may poke you back with a bigger stick, and that won't be good for anybody. So let's not poke anybody with any sticks. I don't know what Frodo. Oh, Frodo is in Lord of the Rings. Frodo. We're referencing Frodo once again. Our Lord of the Rings. We have a Lord of the Rings guy there, so maybe that's where the reference comes from. So we're just going to give it some time. We're going to see who else joins. I will be back on at 1 a.m. Please don't forget, follow me for my 24-hour live stream. I have no idea what you're referring to at all right now, Lord of the Rings. I do not know who the World War II German guy was. There's a lot of World War II German guys, I would say, for good reason. History does not look back on them fondly. Oh, okay. So you are referencing Freemasonry and the Holocaust. Well, Lord of the Rings, that seems like a very cruel thing to say. I'm not sure why you'd want to be cruel in this manner. I know there's a lot of cruel people out there. But I hope that you find some type of peace within your life, because it seems like you probably do not have it. Especially if you're on here saying these things to get a rise. Same with you, Carl. It seems like sometimes you're saying things to get a rise, which does not seem like a healthy approach to me in one's life. It's always good advice as well. Maybe I will if I could, here we go. We'll just put Lord of the Rings in a bit of a timeout over here. I know I look like a troll. I've grown to accept that as a fact, but that's okay. I have a big forehead. People like to point out I have a big forehead. So, we'll be ending this stream soon. Like I said, what do I have coming up? Tonight, 1 a.m., another stream. That's going to be a relaxed stream. We're just going to chat and hang out and talk about whatever. Take questions about Freemasonry, all that good jazz. Starting at tomorrow, 1 p.m., another live stream. That one is going to be just reminding people about what I have coming up in terms of 24-hour live streams and Masonic events happening this weekend or happening in the next coming months. Then August 21st, starting at 2 p.m., the 24-hour live stream, where, amongst other things, you're going to learn all about my Masonic collectibles, pins, coins, all of these guys, and more. You're going to learn what they all are, where I got them from, interesting stories behind them, as well as my Masonic tarot cards, my Masonic pins, paintings, stuff you don't even know about yet that you'll see. It's going to be really, really fun. So, and I'm also working on another article for Medium. If you don't follow me on Medium, please let me know. Show Tarot Now or Riot. I'll show you one of the tarot cards. So this was a gift given to me from Brian Maddox, past master and the brethren of Cassia Mount Horeb Lodge number 27. So this is not an official Masonic item that every lodge will have. This is something that was custom made for one Masonic lodge as a gift to give out. They want to try something different than the typical pins or coins. And what they did is they actually created them out of plastic. I think they 3D printed them. Um, so let me see if I can find. So I'm not sure even how these work in terms of the actual like games, but these are all coin or pins, excuse me, that are somewhat Masonic. So for example, we have a pillar here with the letter J on the bottom, which is a reference to a Masonic pillar. The Fibonacci sequence, which is very important for sacred geometry, geometry in general. The checkerboard, tiled floor, and there's a whole collection of them. So I believe this is the gavel. So this is the entire collection. I'm not going to show each one right now. I probably won't even show each one during the 24-hour live stream, to be honest. But I'll show, some of them. That would be a great one. Well, so it's called a Masonic tarot. The extent to which it's based on the actual tarot, I don't know. I have here it says this box contains 21 plastic cards that each represent a different concept in Freemasonry. More than that, they are symbolic of perspectives one can take when considering a problem, situation, or even your interior world. Included in this booklet are some ideas about how you might use this deck as a tool to create a better world. Further along is a description of each card and some suggested concepts that relate to that card. You'll figure out what each one is when I go through them all on August 21st. Well, they're 3D printed, but they're not stuck in their mold. The mold, I think, is the outline that keeps the card together. But I think I've said before, right? Like we in Freemasonry, like I'm grateful for anything I receive. Like I don't care what it is. I'm honored to receive it. But one of the challenges of relying so heavily on, let's say, coins or pins is sometimes they can be harder to stand out automatically. Like you look at my pin collection, each one of these have a cool story, but one doesn't necessarily stand out automatically from any other one unless you are really, really searching for it. Right? Like this one over here doesn't stand out over this one over here. They all kind of blend together in a way. Whereas something unique like a tarot deck like this, when you're displaying it, it stands out more obviously because it's such a unique thing. Even that's why I would suggest when Masons are looking at creating coins, it might be worth considering getting coins that have some color on them. Like this one has the blue, the red, the gold. Because again, it's something that stands out. Because when you have all of these coins, you want something that stands out a little bit. Really, that's awesome, Mr. Keeps on Ticking. EA, I can understand. I can understand that. I've been very lucky in that I've not suffered from. I've not suffered myself from social anxiety, but I know others who do, and they have found that it can be hard. I hope you have people you can talk to. I hope that you are able to find a way to manage through breathing exercises. And that even makes me more impressed that you're so active in Freemasonry, the fact that you do have social anxiety. That's good for you, something you should be proud of. Oh, Rondo, that's one of my least favorite movies of all time. I hate Office Space. I hate it because it's so cynical about things, right? Like, what is wrong with, what is wrong with 15 pieces of flair? And, like, it's fine. I don't like the cynicism of that movie. Like, I'm trying to think of the example off the top of my head. Um, um, so this movie came out called Starry Eyes, which is a horror movie. One actually I enjoyed. It's kind of an independent film. But there's this character, she works in a fast food place, but she wants to be a an actress. So she's obviously not particularly interested in working in this fast food restaurant and serving like chicken nuggets. She kind of feels like it's beneath her somewhat. And her boss says to her at one point, like, look, I know you don't really care about this place. I know it's just a fast food restaurant and you want to be a big star and whatever. But he says, like, the boss, the manager, he's the owner. He says, like, look, this place is me. This place is something I care about. It's something I've built. It's something that I try to give jobs to. You know, that gives jobs to people. It's something that um, people come in and they have a good time. And I think that's kind of the view I have about that movie, Office Space. It's like, especially the whole flair thing. It's like maybe that owner just really cares about that restaurant and really cares about wanting people to have a good time when they're in and wants his employees to kind of give it their all, which is not a bad thing by any means. So, for whatever it's worth. So, I do not like the movie The Good Witch. Sorry, I do not like the movie Office Space. I do like the TV show The Good Witch, which I was just watching once again on Hallmark. I like earnestness. I think earnestness is a value that we need to find a way to bring back to. We need to find a way to bring back to the world a little bit. Never, so yeah, so not a fan of it myself, but hey, that's okay. But how is it going for everybody? Like I said, I'll probably be ending the stream soon. I will be back on stream 1 a.m., which will be really, really fun. And we're just going to talk, hang out, chat, all that good jazz. Oh, very funny. Actually, when I was a kid, I did enjoy the Ernest movies a lot. I did really enjoy the Ernest movies when I was a kid. I remember Ernest Saves Halloween is one I really, really loved uh, a lot. So I remember watching that movie repeatedly because it always show up on television. It'd always be on the like YTV, which was like the youth station. And I remember really, really enjoying those movies. So Ernest Saves Halloween, one of my favorites. You're not American, so the context of Office Space. I mean, I know a lot of people love that movie. A good friend of mine, one of my best friends, always loved that movie. I just never really got into it. It was never for me. I never really liked it very much. So, like I said, it was never. I was never an Office Space guy. I was also never a Pee Wee Herman kid. I never really watched Pee Wee Herman. I feel like a lot of people in my generation really loved Pee Wee's Big Adventure, but it was not for me. Never watched it, Rondo. Never watched it. So I can't say. I mean, I can't say I never watched it. I just watched it irregularly, put it that way, or watched clips of it. I don't even know if I ever saw like a full episode. But I hear there's a new remake of it out now, or not a remake, but like a sequel, a repeat, which is crazy to me. Never saw The Godfather. Never saw. I was always a scary movie guy and a Hallmark guy. What can I say? But all right, this has been a lot of fun. I know 1 a.m. is tough. It's tough for me too, but people for some reason seem to want to check me out at 1 a.m. And I like to kind of keep things consistent. I'll see everybody soon. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m., as well as hopefully I will see everybody on Instagram. All right, talk to you guys later.